I've been looking into nutrition, various aspects of it, particularly with a couple of big endurance races coming up. I've got the Race to Remember in November, and then the Arc of Attrition in January. And then between then, obviously I've got a lot of training runs that are going to make me push my distances out to the point where I really need to think about how I'm going to fuel on these races. Now I've started looking at solid food and I'll talk about that on my next long run. But I've also started looking at energy drinks, because these things are all good and well, but they are quite expensive. And from brand to brand, I have various stomach issues depending on which one I have. So I started looking at making my own. That's what I want to talk about today. And I'm going to show you how to make your own energy drinks. Now, first of all, yes, these are very convenient. Yes, you can go into any shop halfway around your run and you can buy a variety of flavours and drinks. So they have that going for them. But to be honest, making your own isn't that inconvenient once I show you how it's done. And you also have full control over the ingredients. So if I look at the back of this one, what do you got? Lucozade Sport. This is Lucozade Sport. Nothing against Lucozade Sport. Water, glucose syrup, acids, acidity regulator. Not a great amount aspartame sweeteners. So it's primarily glucose, which isn't the greatest energy source for endurance running. Energy in this is 27 calories per 100 ml, 68 per 250, so about 130 calories in that, of which carbs 15.7 grams and sugars 8.8 grams per 250 ml. So we got the figures on that one. What I'm going to do is make up a batch of 2 litres. So I'm going to use these 2 bottles. These are 1 litre bottles, and I'm going to make up a batch that will be split between these 2, and then we'll look at the cost comparisons and we'll look at the various different comparisons. So what do we want an endurance drink to do? It's got really 3 functions. The first one is hydration. It's water replacement. So that's why I'm going to think about 2 litres, 1 litre per hour roughly for me. Sometimes more, sometimes less, obviously depending on the weather. But I've been doing a lot of before and after weights, and I do lose about 1 kilo in water weight for about an hour and a half run. So I'm looking at maybe 2 of these for 3 hours, maybe a little bit more. And then there's salt replacement. So when I'm losing these fluids, when we are losing these fluids through sweat, we lose a lot of salt as well. So that's the second part, salt replacement. You'll go out and you'll buy isotonic drinks which promise to replace all of those salts. And then the other thing is energy, so calories. So I'm looking at how many calories these will provide me per hour. So let's talk about those aspects. We know the water is coming from the tap, so we don't have an issue with that. The isotonics, the salts are coming from this electrolyte powder. Now I'll give you all the costs of each of these items I'll give you all the costs later on, and we'll talk about how much it costs per drink compared to the Lucozade. So that's bulk electrolyte powder. That's a 100-gram pack. Then I've got maltodextrin powder. So this is sort of our slower release carbs. So this is what's going to fuel me throughout the hour that I'll be drinking that drink. And you've got the fructose powder as well, and the fructose powder is also carbs, but they take a different route and they absorb a little bit faster. They take a different route to those, so they sort of help mitigate some of the gastrointestinal issues you might have if you just constantly take your carbohydrates from a single source such as glucose. So we're looking at 2 different sources, 2 different pathways for absorption. Okay, so for 500 ml, take a set of scales, come on, and we're looking at roughly a 2-to-1 mix of these. So I said I'm going to do this on a litre. So the measurements for a litre are going to be around about maybe 80 grams of maltodextrin. Now that's going to the limit. That's pushing your body to absorb these calories. If you're getting your calories from somewhere else, and if you're getting your carbs from somewhere else, you can drop that down. So anywhere between 60 and 80 for a litre. Okay, I'm going to go for 60. I don't know whether you can see that. Zero it out. I'm just going to spoon it in. Almost there. There you go. So there's 60 grams of maltodextrin. Now it's a 2-to-1 mix with these two. So if I'm using 60 grams of maltodextrin, I'm using 30 grams of fructose, which is obviously going to take this up to 90 grams then. Now fructose is sweet, maltodextrin has no taste, but the fructose is very sweet, which is why I use the lime juice in just a second. Electrolyte powder, so I'm making up a litre, and for 500 grams it is, there's my little scoop gone, it's 1 level scoop. So inside the bag, it's a tiny little half a pea size scoop, like that, just level, 1, 2, and that's the salt replacement going into a litre of water. Now, fructose will dissolve quite readily in water, maltodextrin not quite so easily, so we do have to use warm water for that. So what I've got here is a kettle I boiled about 10-15 minutes ago. The water's still hot, and I'm just going to put in, what have we got there? About that much. So I know I'm going to top this up to a litre in a minute, and I'm going to add all of this powder into the hot water and just stir it as I go. I might need to add a bit more water to stop it going lumpy. So all the hot water's doing is helping that maltodextrin not go lumpy, because it will go lumpy and like little lumps of jelly. We don't want that. And you can see that's well mixed. There's no lumps in there or anything like that. Excellent, that's okay. What I'm going to do just to help with the mixing is I'm just going to move it into no, I'm going to leave it there. So what's my measurement on this one? On this side. So that's around about 300 ml. So I'm not going to take it up to the full litre, I'm going to take it up to around about the 700 ml. And that's just because I want it to be a bit colder. Next thing, because that will be quite to a taste. Slightly salty, slightly sweet water, but not in a good way like popcorn. Yeah, so on its own it's not a very pleasant flavour. First of all, the lime juice, this is there you go, I'll show you over there. The lime juice just helps knock some of that fructose sweetness off. Fructose almost has that almost like an artificial sweetener taste. Obviously it's not, it's very natural, but that should, see straight away that tastes a lot better now. Get a little bit more there. The main flavour is actually just going to come from the cordial. So I've just got this just happens to be Tesco's lemon cordial, so I'm just going to put some of that in there. That gives it the main flavour. Flavour wise, that's a little bit stronger because I lose too much of that, but that's okay because there's got to be more water added to this as well to take it up to the litre mark. Perfect. So decant into my sports bottle. Top it with cold water. Taste wise, there's almost no difference between that. That's a little bit sweeter. I could put some more lemon juice in there to make it a little bit sharper, but I'm quite happy with the flavour on that, particularly when I compare it to the Lucozade. So I'm going to knock up another one, and then we can talk about the calories, the cost, which is the main thing. So one more time, between 60 and 80 grams of maltodextrin, half of that weight again of fructose. Let's take it up to 90. Two scoops of salt. Balance the sweetness. We not get sort of flavour fatigue. Again, just put them. Into the fridge. So look at the values on these two side by side. Per 100 gram of powder, we're getting about 390 calories. Okay, I've used 90 grams, so they're about the same each. So you're getting the same amount of calories regardless. I've used just under 100 grams, so I'm going to say, just for argument's sake, there's 330 calories in each one of those bottles. Okay. The Lucozade Sport, I think we found out was. So 68 calories per 250, so 136 calories for that 500 ml. So calorie wise, they're about equal. Obviously I use lower values on this, so I'm getting 300 calories per litre, nearly 360 calories per litre. This is going to give you about 200 and, what do we say? 86, 68, 136, 260, 270. You get about 270 calories per litre of that against 300 at the moment calories. You could push up to 400 calories per litre of this. So higher in calories, but not massively so. We start thinking about the actual cost of it. So one of these, I mean, depending on where you buy it from, if you stop at a little sort of corner shop while you're out on your run, you might be paying £2.50 for something like that. Obviously you get it a lot cheaper if you buy in bulk or if you go to the supermarket. This one here is 35 pence per 500 ml, so potentially £2, 35 pence. and I'm in control of the ingredients, so I can make this stronger or weaker as I feel I need to. I can make it saltier if I feel I need to. I'm totally in control of the ingredients, and I could push this to the max. I could go for the full sort of 80 grams and 40 grams for the litre. I choose not to because I'm getting carbs elsewhere. So the upshot is, if you are looking at sort of maybe taking more control of your fueling and not relying on either expensive energy drinks or even just, you know, isotonic drinks off the shelf like the Lucozade, this is definitely worth a try. Now, I've been using these for a couple of weeks. I've had no gastrointestinal issues. They certainly seem to be fueling the runs. I've done 20 milers where it's been my main source of fuel and not had an issue with it. The biggest issue is on the longer runs is carrying enough of it around with you. So you do end up, I still end up, you know, stopping occasionally and buying something like this because I just haven't taken enough out with me. But that's on me, that's not on the sports drink. So yeah, bag of maltodextrin powder, £6.99. Bag of fructose, £6.99. Isotonic salts, £7.95. That's all your ingredients, and that will see you for, how many bottles will that make? I don't know, mate. There you go, good boy, Dan, good boy. Go on, Dan. So if we're buying from a corner shop and not buying in bulk, this is about £2. This in total was, what do we say, 6, 7, 14, £21. This will make 26 of those. So I say go and do it. All available on Amazon. Very easy to mix up. I'm assuming that if you're a runner, you've probably already got things like water bottles. Most kitchens have got scales in them, so I'm not including costs like that. I'm not including the cost of the cordial because I'd have that anyway. Just these ingredients here. So yeah, that's me anyway. I'll talk about some of the foods that I'm taking out with me on my next long run, and we can deep dive, and we can dive a bit deeper into nutrition then. So yeah, stay safe, have fun, and I will see you on my next run.